Let's talk about the UK, shall we? The UK continues its very fast descent into a surveillance state, which is devoid of free speech and privacy. Two crazy stories that have unfolded over the past few hours, over the past 24 hours. First, according to reports in GB News, local councils are quietly building drone fleets and training drone pilots to carry out full surveillance ops on its citizens. Part of the plan is to unleash these drones to basically police anti-social behavior. The hell does that mean? Whatever that means, I don't know, because apparently CC television cameras, which are all over the damn area, and, you know, and street patrols weren't like dystopian enough to know what you're speaking, what you're thinking, what you're doing. Sunderland's got 13 drones ready to spy from the skies already. Most of these locales already do. And many city councils now are pairing them with AI facial recognition. So you're already part of a database, and they're going to be tracking you from the sky. We wanted to bring in Jim Ferguson today from the UK, who is always up on all of this and tries to keep his people sane over there. One of the smartest people and one of the most based individuals in the UK. Jim, great to see you, my friend. Welcome back to the show.
Clayton, always great to be on with you. Thank you for that introduction. And more craziness unfolds in the United Kingdom. And it just goes from one dystopian measure to another, doesn't it?
It seems fake. Like when I see these stories out of the UK, I'm like, this has to be fake. But then I think about it, the United States is doing the very same thing, launching drone surveillance in the United States. This is coming here. So this, in many ways, the UK has become like a cautionary tale, like 6 months ahead of what the United States is now getting under Palantir and all of the stuff that we're seeing in the United States. So what do we know about this drone program specifically? Like, how is it, do we know the mechanics of how it's going to monitor people?
Well, these drones, as we've seen technology increase and a much more drone use over the last couple of decades being employed and deployed in places like Ukraine, Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever, it's inevitable that law enforcement and the police are going to start to use it more and more as well. And you made a good point when you mentioned facial recognition, because what they're doing is they're creating AI databases nationally. This is going to be linked into digital ID, the Brit card that they're calling it. The excuse is it's going to deal with mass illegal immigration, which if you believe that, you believe anything. That's nothing to do with that. This is about control. This is the globalist mindset. They want to surveil everybody. And when they say antisocial behavior, it might be their idea of antisocial behavior. I mean, people just going for a walk, minding their own business, taking the dog out for a walk, they will all be targeted. And I think, actually, Clayton, it's because they fear the people. That's really, I think, what it boils down to. They're terrified of the people waking up to what they've really been doing. And this is all part of a control grid, turning it into a prison planet.
That's what it seems like to me. So this antisocial behavior has gotten a lot of headlines because it's literally what they're saying they're going to be looking for. This isn't like made up. Antisocial behavior. So what do they think it like? In Europe, of course, you know, we lived in Portugal for 5 years. One of the moves that the European Union has made is that if you're transacting in cash, a certain number of euros beyond whatever 300 euros in Spain, 500 in other countries, that you are considered to be on the gray market, aka a terrorist, because only terrorists would use cash, right? So you're antisocial, like you just don't feel like hanging out with anybody. Like I'm not very, you know, I'm not like a huge people person. And so I guess under these drone, I would be considered like antisocial. Like I just don't want to hang out, you know, this weekend I just want to keep to myself. So they're going to be watching me. They're going to be putting me in some sort of a database. We've been tracking Clayton's movements. We've been tracking Jim's movements. And you know what? He's just not going out to party every night now. So he's kind of on that gray list. We got to keep an eye out for him.
I can guarantee you we're already on that list, Clayton. But one of the other things they'll be watching, out for is national flags. If you take pride in your country, if you fly the American flag, if you fly the Union flag or your nation's flag, that will be a clear indication that there's something not quite right with you. Because that's how they think. They are completely bereft of common sense. But actually, I think it's worse than that. I think they actually hate the British people. Starmer is one of the most deeply unpopular prime ministers in existence, and his Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel from Accounts, Rachel Reeves, is about as unpopular as he is. The two of them are really wrecking the country. And it doesn't surprise me when I hear about this big brother surveillance state that's creeping in, using drones, using facial recognition, mandating that people are going to have to be given digital ID or they won't be allowed to work. They won't be allowed to use public transport. They won't be allowed to fly in airplanes. It is dystopian beyond measure. Orwell would be turning in his grave right now, the author of 1984, if he could see the reality of things in the United Kingdom today. And there are still 12,000 British journalists and people locked up for memes and posts on social media. You can't make it up.
You know, there was something that went viral this past couple of days. It was Glenn Beck interviewing a friend of the show, Whitney Webb. And, you know, he's saying, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Like, look, I'm a good person. I don't do anything wrong. Hey, if you want to I guess you want to go through all my emails, you want to look at everything I do, then, you know, I've got nothing to hide. Right. But she just shut him down because it's not about that at all. It's about not having anything to hide. I think you and I probably would agree with that. It's more about what won't I have access to because you don't like my politics. You don't like how I carry myself. I can't get on a bus. I can't travel because I traveled too much because my Brit card won't allow me to. They've been watching me. They know that, right? It's about freedom. It has nothing to do with I've got nothing to hide.
No. And that used to be what most normal people would say when they were putting up huge amounts of CCTV cameras in the town centres and the shopping markets. People say, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to be worried about, have you? And people would rather naively go along with that narrative. By the way, I love Glenn Beck. We followed each other on X for a long time, and Whitney Webb's a superstar. But, you know, they're right, and she's right to say that, because this is a complete invasion of people's privacy, and they are nefarious in what their intent is. They don't like us. They don't like people wanting to live private lives or in freedom or in truth. And this is the dystopian arm of the state that is now exercising greater controls and invasion of people's privacy every single day and week that goes past. And of course, the other thing as well is, Clayton, that the regulatory powers haven't quite caught up with this yet. Now, hopefully they will. Hopefully there will be a change in government. Hopefully that will happen. But until it does, they're going to be rolling this technology out and surveilling everybody just to keep everybody under this sort of overarching grip of the authoritarian state. It's just really, really crazy stuff. But people need to wake up fast, and they need to get this government gone. They are beyond a joke at this point, actually quite dangerous to our freedoms.
Can you maybe talk about some of the mechanics of this? And I want to jump to our second story here, but is running for parliament. Who would be controlling these databases? Because we're talking about these, you can maybe educate our American audience. We have a big UK audience that watches us as well, but there's a lot of us in America that maybe don't understand how the government apparatus would work here. So who would be in charge of, because I think in the United States, we think, it'd be the NSA. You know, they have a history of spying on us. So it's in one database. Is this local areas? Because I would think, well, maybe it's this, certain states would have access to it, but in the United States, it'd probably like a federal program, some sort of a federal database that's monitoring. Would you have these lackeys sitting there smoking cigarettes, looking, just sitting there all night, studying this stuff? What's going on here? How would this work?
I don't think they would be as cool as that, Clayton. I think they'd probably be quite nerdy, eating donuts or something. No, the way it works is we've got MI5, which is our internal security mechanisms and agents that are involved in counterterrorism, and they do serious organized crime and things like that as well. We've also got the specialist policing units and the intelligence services that work with them. On the foreign side, we've got the SIS, the Secret Intelligence Services, or more commonly known as MI6. And they're very, very good at what they do. The agents, the people involved with that aren't actually the problem. But some of the policing in the London Metropolitan Police, for example, they're really dystopian. And what they're doing to British people right now is shocking beyond measure. And I know that there's another story coming up, so I won't say too much about that. But there will be databases and people running those databases, collecting that information, but a lot of it will actually be controlled by artificial intelligence. And there is a major grid going up, right? So it's not going to be just operators sitting there I mean, we would like to think it's human beings that's doing it, but actually it's going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to be playing a much, much greater role. And there will be databases of people who have gone to protests, who have maybe shown their faces, carried flags, patriotic flags on marches. They will all have been surveilled already. That's what I'm saying. Any of us who have gone to marches in this country or in other countries, we will be on a database. So we will already be marked. So those drones that are going to be flying overhead, for example, at the next Unite the Kingdom rally in London, they will be able to zone in, home in, and they will know exactly who's there and where they're from, where they live, and everything about them, especially if it gets linked into digital ID, because everything that your bank accounts, your health records, your home address, your date of birth, who your families are, who you're married to, who your sons, your daughters, all of that information is going to be linked into that. The big worry for a lot of people is, what if it gets hacked? We've seen so many cyber attacks on big business and banks. Who's to say that that might not happen then as well? So I think people are rightly worried about it. But two out of every three British people are very, very, very much against digital ID in the Brit card. It's really a bit of a flop for the government, but they are still trying to push it out.
Well, I mean, if you know you're going to go to one of these rallies and you're going to be under this surveillance, that would create antisocial behavior. Like, I wouldn't go to those rallies. You know, I don't want to be surveilled like this. Somebody in our chat room, G. Fontes, in our Rumble chat says, Oracle, Amazon Web Services, Israel have some security firms run by former Mossad and British MI6 personnel. So, yeah, it's like the big tech databases that are going to have access to this as well, not just the government or the government in collusion with them, of course, and we'll all be tracked. Too bad we don't have guns, though, in the UK. They can shoot these things out of the sky because this guy. Here's a guy, I want to get your take on this, Jim, which is this British IT consultant who was arrested. Now, bear in mind, here's a photo that you're seeing. He was in the United States, in Florida, at like a gun range, from what I understand, and posted pictures on LinkedIn shooting guns. Well, he comes back to the UK and then gets harassed beyond belief. I think he was arrested, I don't know how many times. Police kept showing up at his house because of his social media posts because he was in the United States showing guns. What the hell happened here?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. But first of all, it's very important to know that this gentleman actually legally owns a shotgun certificate here in the United Kingdom. It's not illegal to have firearms or shotguns in the United Kingdom. They're two different classifications. So you have a firearms license for bullets and you have a shotgun certificate for shotguns. They're two different things. But he had a shotgun certificate legally held and properly stored in the United Kingdom. So you can go shooting clay pigeons or grouse or anything else quite legally if you've got a shotgun certificate or you're on somebody's land under supervision and they've got a license to operate it. But what he did was he went to Florida and he went out to get some target practice shooting clay pigeons, which are just circular discs that shatter upon impact. I mean, it's not as if he's shooting animals. But he put this on his LinkedIn profile to say, hey, look what I've been doing, as a lot of people do. And the police came round. When he came back, he was actually arrested and charged with a range of different offences, causing fear and alarm and all sorts of crazy stuff.
What? And
his life was turned upside down. Yeah, his life was turned upside down for months. Eventually, just before the court case, they dropped all the charges. Did they apologise? Of course they didn't. They just, wrecked a guy's life who did nothing wrong. He didn't break the law, and they didn't even apologize for it. So this is about policing social media posts, not about locking up criminals. I mean, there's obviously police officers who do nothing else other than sit and watch other people's social media posts, rather than going out and tackling the horrendous crimes and the rapes and the attacks on women and children that are happening extensively across the United Kingdom right now. No, they sit and watch people's social media posts and then go and harass them and arrest them and charge them. And then at the end of it, drop all charges and don't even apologize. It's beyond a joke.
And I saw that they dropped all charges. Maybe I'm incorrect on this part of the story. They dropped all charges, but then they kept coming back and harassing him. The police, I think 2 more times, The police came back and harassed him again after dropping the charges. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if that wasn't bad enough, they just kept on coming back and giving him a hard time about it. And I think whether it offends somebody, whether somebody doesn't like firearms or guns or people posting about it, but get a life. Go and watch somebody else's social media. I mean, leave the guy alone. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing illegal. He didn't threaten anybody. He didn't point it at anybody. He was shooting clay pigeons, which is perfectly legal in the United Kingdom and perfectly legal in the state of Florida in the United States of America as well. But this is just another example of the police abusing their powers. It's two-tier justice. It's just a crazy time to be alive in the United Kingdom right now. And that's why we've got to change the government. And I will say, Clayton, I wasn't going to say it because I don't think I'd had a chance to tell you, but I have become politically active again.
Yes. How so? You're running?
Well, a good friend of mine, I'll tell you very briefly, a good friend of mine, Ben Habib, has started a party. He started it about 4 months ago called Advance UK. He's a former member of the European Parliament, a London businessman, and he loves Britain. And I worked with him in the Brexit Party when I was a parliamentary candidate there. And I'd arranged to go down and meet him. I'd kept in contact with him over the last 4 or 5 years. And the day that I was going to see him, the day before, he launched the party. And it's incredible. He's achieved something quite remarkable. Reform UK, my old colleague Nigel Farage, he started a party called Reform UK. It took 5 years to get 30,000 members. Well, it's taken Advance UK 2.5 months to get nearly 40,000. It's quite remarkable.
Wow.
And yeah, it's on rockets. It's like on rockets right now, Clayton. It's quite exciting. And when I was in Warsaw there a couple of months ago, I got a call from him and from his chief of staff. And they said, you're doing all this work across Europe. You're all over the place. Would you come back and see us? We want to talk to you. And they've asked me to take on the role of international ambassador. So I'm the international ambassador for Advance UK. I don't know whether I'll stand at the election, but I'm certainly speaking at a lot of events. We're encouraging people to join us. And get this, Clayton, Elon Musk has officially endorsed Advance UK for the British government to get into power. So there you go.
Way to go. Well, that's great news. Maybe there is some hope. Maybe there is some hope for the island after all. I sure hope so, because it needs it, sorely needs it. That's why it's skyrocketing right now. People have just had enough. I mean, it's beyond the pale. Jim Ferguson, that's great news. Thank you so much. I know it's after 10 p.m. there in London. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And thanks for always speaking truth to power. We appreciate it, Jim. Good luck. Let us know what we can do, by the way. We'll try to spread the word here across the pond.
We really appreciate it. Love the guys. Love our American friends. Thanks a lot, Clayton. I'd absolute delight to be on with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Great to see you as always, and good luck. Well, that's great news.